Hi, and welcome to Martechify. This is Tina Schweiger. I have Fabio Ranieri today with us. We are a community of marketing technology professionals, diving deep into some of the topics that are interesting to other folks that are working in this space. So appreciate you joining us and watching the episode today. We're going to talk to Fabio. He is with HP. I'm very excited to talk with him. He's got some amazingly huge challenges he's tackling, and we're gonna jump right into it. Thanks for joining us, Fabio.
My pleasure to be here. Hi, Tina. How are you?
I'm doing great. Could you tell us a little bit about your background? Give us some context. Maybe start with your current role and how you got here.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm speaking directly from Austin, just like you. And I got here after spending a lot of time guaranteeing that content and again any shopping experience is relevant to someone. And right now I'm dealing with how do we make 100,000 products or 100,000 SKUs relevant to this whole world in all countries you can imagine where HP sells. And the biggest challenge is exactly that: is we speak a lot about personalization. We have been speaking for years on how do we deliver personalization that is not just a hi on an email, hi Fabio. It's something that is really relevant to someone, and this is the challenge that I face right now. So going on back on my background, I'm originally from Brazil, and I seen that sometimes content that was created at corporate level, at worldwide level, would not fit the country, and this is where I decided to really get in into understand how do we make this global content fit different markets.
Mm.
Always tied to again technology, always tied to e-commerce, always tied to again the PMM side of the house, and but always one thing in mind is content needs to be relevant to someone. We need to guarantee that if I'm sharing something, the other person on the other side feels part of it and wants to know more. And once again, of course, we're all focusing on conversion that wants to buy our products and services.
How did you get started in the world of marketing?
To be honest, I got started. I was an engineer at the time. I started as an engineer in a tech
Oh,
company, and I realized long, long ago. Again, the internet was starting. So I'm putting my date of birth out, kind of. But we start to realize that it was not about the technology; it was about how people were reacting to what we put out, right? And these were my first kind of steps into marketing, and it was fun because at the beginning of the internet you had the limitations, right? It would not work. You could have the best content out, it would not work through the pipes that you have. Right now you have the other problem. You have all the piping, all the capabilities in the world, and now you are tied by again how hard and expensive it is to create all the content that you can. So I would say that my life shuffled from a more engineering tech side into this more I'll call martech and e-commerce side. But now I have a completely different problem than the past. It's how can I guarantee that I use all the pipes possible, that I talk to all the people possible, and I do as much as we can, more than one to one instead of the one too many.
and clarify for me, are you working in B2C space? Are you working business to business? Kind of, what's your scope of folks that you're speaking with?
So most of my scope, and that's the best answer, is B2C and SMB because these are most of the transactions that happen on the e-commerce side. Although more and more people shop around for B2B before I'm taking endless decision on buying a new technology, right? So I would say my scope is every human that would like to buy an HP, although most of the transactions are mostly B2C and SMB.
Wow, that's a great answer, and it's also a little bit overwhelming. I can imagine as it is, just for me to hear that. It's like, oh, our audience is pretty much everyone, every marketer's exciting.
Oh
We
yeah.
talked before. I know we talked before, and I know how you tackle this is really interesting, and I think our audience would be really particularly interested in it. You talked about ABM, and that's always been a big term in marketing technology. And it's a complicated endeavor. It requires just all the piping of all the content and the channels to really line up perfectly, deliver personalization, and hopefully deliver relevancy, as you said. But from what you said on our initial conversation, that you're actually using some AI tools right now to increase the relevancy and the personalization and a better experience for everyone that's on your buying path right now. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, I'll share whatever I can. Some things are still locked in a safe here at HP. Yeah, but we start in a different way. So in the past, what we've seen is that everyone started from, let me look at the insights, let me look at the data, and let's now create a personalization. And what I seen happen, and happened to me also, is great, now I know everyone that I need to talk to, but I got locked out of that capability because let's say, affordable content creation was not available to do the one-to-one, right? And then we got to two things that were a little bit more, I'll call maybe simple, but I don't know if I can call it really simple. Again, the predictive analytics, delivering the right product at the right time to the right person through the right channel, etc., etc. I think this is something that the market is really doing well today. But I don't feel that content still feels personal. So the generation capabilities were not there. So one thing that we did on our side is that we decided to start from the generation. We knew who we need to talk to, but instead of trying to do the one-to-one from day zero, we said, let's guarantee that we have good generation capabilities. So the first thing is a step that we already completed that we call content expansion. Can I guarantee that I can have content moving from one type of media to another one, and that content can be easily recreated or transformed, as we call, with technology? This is something that we did. The second one is, and it's the biggest challenge with Gen AI specifically, which is I need to guarantee that I have 100% product accuracy. Remember, you are going to a retailer, you're looking at an HP product. If you receive something that is a little bit off, you're not going to be happy, right? You just put your wallet out, you basically bought something, you said, I'm going to use my money to buy this product because I love it, and then you get something that is a little bit off. So we try to guarantee that these generation capabilities, and we use something that we call narrow use cases. We narrow the use case as much as possible to guarantee that these capabilities were there, and now we're using these capabilities that we learned and that we created to do the personalization itself. So it's a little bit from, we work from the middle out, instead of working from the beginning, which is who we would like to talk to, because we knew who we'd like to talk to, right? I have a specific customer in Korea, I have another customer in India, I have another customer in US, and we knew that one size fits all was not working. But we're always, I would say, hitting a roadblock, which was, again, but I know what content I need to create, but it's highly expensive. I'm not going to be able to do that. To the challenge that HP has, and the challenge that HP has is it's simple. We have 100,000 SKUs selling to all this crazy world with a lot of different people looking for different things and searching for different things. And we said, we really don't have a capability, people, budget, whatever, from a marketing perspective to do that on a one-to-one basis. So again, our point of view, we love personalization, but we want to guarantee that we can really deliver it, so that we started from the what we consider the weak link, which is sometimes you know who you want to talk to, at what time you want to talk to that person, how we want to talk to that person, but we're not able to create the content. So first step, and our logic might not work for everyone, but was to guarantee that generation capabilities were there. We did it, and right now we're working on how do we personalize with these capabilities, and it's proving so much easier. That in the past we were basically sitting and looking and saying, great, now I have 20 personas that I can only probably cover with the budget 3. And what we're looking at right now is that I have 20 personas and I can cover 20 different relevant content to that persona in that specific country. And there are some things that are really, really fun. Again, There are some countries in the world that do not accept tattoos. There are some countries in the world that do not accept some other things. Can we use AI to tweak that a little bit, even if you are using content that is a worldwide content, while maintaining authenticity, right? So there's always this kind of, I would say, balance between we want to use AI, but we want to guarantee authenticity. But I think that balance will always happen. What really, really makes sense, for us at least, is the relevancy. And I'm testing and guaranteeing that whatever we did with that generation, whatever we did with the insights and etc., is generating more conversion, is generating more engagement. So again, in a nutshell, it's a really complex process. Sometimes we make it look a little bit more complex than it is, but the biggest challenge that we see in this whole personalization is not that we don't want to do personalization. We would love to do personalization, but we're use lock out once we see how much budget is needed and the ROI out of that generation itself.
I think you gave me a really good sense for how complex it is when you started saying about how different marketplaces around the world sometimes they accept things, sometimes they don't, and how minute the differences must be between the products. So getting that accuracy really that really just fleshed out what you mean by the expense and the cost of getting the content personalized or relevant to that target audience. I mean, because you multiply all that by 100,000, and
Exactly.
you're in this
And the
space.
most important thing, we also believe that that content will help customers select the products better, because we have 100,000 SKUs out there. How do
Yeah.
we guarantee that we are helping them understanding their specific use case, that that's the right product for them? There are too many
You br-
options right now.
And you bring up a good point, and that was going to be my last question, which is, if I'm a we're familiar with small business, we're a small business, and I'm also a consumer, and I'm also a person in the world, so I fit your target audience. So if I'm receiving all of the work that you're doing, what's the experience like on my end? That might be different than, say, even recently, like the evolutions and the things that you're doing that are new. How would I experience that as a consumer?
So at HP, you're going to experience not just on, of course, the ad side, guaranteed that these ads are more personalized. And I think on that side, we are closer, right, than we are on the product page itself. But imagine that if tomorrow you are shopping for a printer or a PC for your business. It's probably a super specific use case that you have, and probably some really specific questions that we have, right? I also had a small business in the past. It's not the same question that you have sometimes as a consumer. And again, at my home right now, I look for a printer. I'm looking, what is the printer that can print at a massive scale everything that my kid asks me from a phone? And I bought a printer that does exactly that. But you, as an SMB, if you go to that specific page at one of our retailers, there's a big chance that you might not find the question that you have. And one example that is happening right now, you're going to Gen AI or to a GPT search or something like that to find that. Now, more than ever, I also need to guarantee that I'm answering to that query. So the way that we see is that it's not a matter of just having videos or 3D or something that it's amazing, but it's more and more, doesn't matter the media, doesn't matter the format, to answer the questions that you have as a person. So the type that we always say we want to answer something to a specific persona, that's the best example. There's a reason why people still go to the physical retail, and go and talk to someone, because they want to understand what is the perfect product that will solve their problems, right? But again, real estate online is limited. How can I guarantee that I find you at the right time, that I guarantee that a P2P it's created for you, and we are delivering content, again, that makes sense. And out of that page, I'm going to be able to get you a faster journey, right? Because in the end, we don't want you to get bored at your journey. And there are a lot of studies that shows, again, that people get bored at some point once they are, for example, in the selection phase, that they got 3 products and they don't know if they are the right fit. And probably there's one question that you have that no one is answering. But it's you as a persona, someone living in Texas that is looking for something specifically for their business, etc., etc., etc. It's going to be harder and harder. So I see a lot of people, they're saying, Gen AI is gonna do everything for us. It's not, because now the expectation from a content perspective and the strategy and everything else is gonna be so much higher, right? If you're not doing, your competitor will be doing. Your competitor will be answering those questions. And that's one thing that we're trying to outpace our competition, guarantee that we answer the right questions to the right person at the right time faster.
Amazing. That would help the last time I was looking for a scanner that could handle legal sized
Oh yeah.
scans. And I never found the answer and I eventually just gave up. So
That
maybe
that
we,
happens a lot, and
yeah,
this is amazing. That happens a lot, and we need to put on our customer shoes, right?
yeah,
That happens a lot. How can I guarantee that I made you happy on the first time that we're navigating the right page for you?
yeah.
You know?
Wow. Well, I really love the things I've learned about just how to handle the complexity of just this global 6 million figures. It's just I can't even get my head around the quantity of journeys that you're trying to address every day.
Think about everyone in the world, and it's that's it. That's and again, that's the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is not doing. I usually have a joke that it's so easy for me to put a unicorn flying on the moon and create a video out of that, but it's so much harder to guarantee that every single HP product is shown the right way with Gen AI. But
Thank
once
you,
we find the
Fabio.
key and we
Yeah.
found that key, it worked. So
Amazing. I can't wait to experience more HP journeys. I'm going to be on the lookout for your work as I go shopping.
nice.
We do have time for one more question, Fabio, and that is going to be, how does this impact your organization? I mean, you're an AI leader at HP and you're navigating all of these solutions for the customer, but I imagine it has a lot of implications in-house. I mean, how do you navigate that?
I think the first one is to guarantee that legal is okay with it. The second one is guaranteed that is aligned with the brand. And again, that it's not just something that you feel that it was generated, let's say, cheaply. I would not even the word affordably, but cheaply through AI. This is not what we're looking for, right? We're really looking for to use that technology to generate the right answers to right content to someone, right? But it's a big change. And it's a change that you have a kind of to find that kind of balance, right, between the creative, between the scale. You're not going to be able with Gen AI, for example, to say what we usually do with an agency. Please now change that specific pixel. That's not Gen AI. It's a different mindset. So, for example, one thing that happened to us, and I think that was a big change, is we take more time generating what we call the first template, way more time, because that template will have to work in many different things, in many different products, in different ways, right? So it's less of a, it's kind of fun because we're talking about the personalization, less of a one-off asset being created. It's much more, how do we set ourselves for a new output that was not available before, right? And
And
there's
does
a,
that change the team structure, the agency structure, the approval structure? Like, what kind of,
oh
how much
yes,
fallout does that have?
oh yes, for example, you have way more QA than you do have the one-to-one interaction. One thing that HP does, we always have a human in the loop. We're not doing anything without a human in the loop yet. We don't, it's not that we don't trust the technology. We see some hallucinations from time to time. Hallucinations are getting even lower. But for example, we have to establish a really simple, quick QA that is not looking at a pixel, but it's looking at the template concept. So we go back into the machines and say, hey, this needs to be improved. Once improved, is improved for every single asset that we have, and we run all these assets, right? This is one. The second one, we had to bring some people. They're really kind of specialists on AI, but much we see them much more as I would say not huge specialists on the AI topic, but people that we're really using and creating specific use cases that we brought them in, right? So we get that freshness, we get that what, for example, smaller companies are doing with AI that sometimes big companies just tend to depend on really complex systems. We bring these people with these kind of mindset in for them to be experimenting with AI, and then we bring those use cases into the enterprise level solutions that we have, right? And one thing that we do a lot is testing. Nothing comes out before some really good chunk of testing, and that helps us show the ROI. So I'll give an example. We are just testing one asset that was created before in, let's call, the standard way, and we generated another one that it was generated by AI. Again, not the ChatGPT AI that we're used to. It's a little bit more complex. It generated the same conversion, but it allowed us, due to the price point, to do the same thing 10 times, right? So it's the same conversion, but allows us to go further. It's not a matter of reducing, it's a matter of doing even more. And this is what I think is changing, is the setup takes a little longer, but once that setup is solid, and one of the setups that we had took 9 months. So imagine 9 months to put an asset out, but once done, it generated 11,000 assets the next day.
Wow. That is, wow. That is really cool. And I hear you say that AI experts and coming in with a fresh viewpoint is important, and QA is way more important than ever. And then I think just a mentality change that you do have to spend more time up front. You do have to get it right. And if you do invest that time, that the results can be exponential. So, wow, thank you.
That was a magic. But
Yeah.
it's hard because as marketeers, we want to see things getting to our customers super fast. We want to see that happening, right? Where in
Yeah.
this case, you just spend more time testing, fine tuning, finding issues. And again, that it happens a lot. So for everyone that is going to be that is trying, and it has been trying, it's hard. It's not easy. It's a new technology. Sometimes not perfect. You need to narrow even more your use case, right? And that happened to us. But it's part of the game. Once you get it right, the first generation, you're going to be super proud of it.
Oh, that's so great. Thank you, Fabio.